Hey everyone, Pepper Spray Patty here with day 2 of the 10 Commandments of Self-Defense. So, commandments are not always pretty and things that we want to talk about. And so, the second commandment of self-defense is one that may make a few people feel uncomfortable. But let's talk it through. So, the second commandment is decide in advance whom you're going to fight. You see, sometimes situations arise that you may not expect. Having to fight someone you trust, someone who's supposed to take care of you, someone you love, may not always be easy. For myself, I do believe that was a part of my challenge in defending myself, is because I always expected that if something ever happened to me, if someone ever attacked me, that it would be a stranger. And in most cases, and especially when it comes to learning self-defense, I see it happening, and I catch it all the time. We spend so much more time talking about those scenarios and situations where it's someone that we don't know. And yes, depending on the circumstances and the type of crime, it could be someone that you don't know. But reality is there's a good possibility that it will be someone that you know, even if it's someone you're slightly familiar with. For example, someone who frequents the same gas station or coffee shop as you, and you've seen them, or maybe they come into your job if you have a job with a public. Say, for example, I'm just going to, put it out there. Say you work at a gas station or a coffee shop or a restaurant or something like that, where you work with the public on a regular basis, and there's someone who comes in quite a bit and has gotten to know you and has built a trust level. A big part of that has to do with boundaries and creating enough of a familiarity with you that you will let down your guard a little bit more, so that it's easier for them to take advantage of you or have control over you. And it comes down to the fact that we question in our minds, if this person, I don't understand, how is this person harming me? I know that. And the closer you are to the person, the more confusing and difficult this becomes. And what happens is, when you're in a situation, it is not the time to think about, well, do I fight back? What do I do? And you end up being in so much shock and confusion that you may not defend yourself. And especially when it comes to sexual assault and domestic violence. This is the big dilemma. So many stories of sexual assault have the victim saying that they didn't fight back, or they didn't scream or things like that, because they knew the person. It wasn't a stranger. When we think about situations and we play that what if game, what would I do if I was getting into my vehicle and someone came up and grabbed me? That's a lot easier to think about than what if I go to this boy's house to study with him and he grabs me? A lot of questions come up in situations like that, and our feelings, our emotions, and all those things play into it. So it's also important to think about what would happen if it was your boss, a clergyman, a male relative, another woman. That's another one that's a big, is we always think about our attacker being a male. But when we talk especially when we get into situations of abduction and human trafficking, there's a really good possibility that it could be a woman. A well-dressed, well put together, doesn't look at all like a bad guy kind of woman. What if it's your children? Whether you have young kids or you have adult children. Thinking about these things, and it first and foremost goes back to yesterday's commandment, the number one commandment of self-defense, and that is believe that you are worth fighting for, no matter who it is. And even if it's not physical, abuse and bullying have a lot of different faces. And so believing that you're worth fighting for, and then understanding that you may be standing up for yourself and fighting for yourself against someone you love. I knew my marriage wasn't perfect. I knew that I was flawed. I knew that he was flawed. And I just thought it was, that's just kind of the way it goes. Yeah, people have arguments and we have disagreements and we can't agree on everything. And it wasn't physical and not even violent. I didn't recognize the other abuses that were happening. And so when my ex-husband flipped out and got physical, I was in complete shock. To this day, I look back at the situation and the circumstances of that evening, and I've told the story many times about how it played out and what happened, and it still doesn't make sense. On the surface, I look at it and it's like he wasn't a violent person. He wasn't angry like we think of angry. Bitter, absolutely. Resentful of all the things that ever went wrong in his life or all the people who ever wronged him, absolutely. But I didn't think anything of it. I'd known many bitter people in my life, and they weren't angry and violent and hurtful to their loved ones. But now that I've spent a lot of time researching narcissists and manipulators and psychopaths, I do see how those have the potential of being someone who is an abuser. And everyone who is an abuser is this close to being a physical abuser. They're just waiting for the right moment. And it could be something as random as asking a question. Do you want this coat hung up in the bedroom closet or in the spare room closet? That was the question that set off my ex-husband and sent him into such a rage that he picked me up and threw me to the ground, sat on top of me, and started punching me. I can picture it, and I remember kicking and putting my hands up to try to block him. But I know I didn't fight with everything I have. I was very confused. It didn't make any sense to me. I was in a serious state of shock. Maybe you are a high school student or a college student, and you will find yourself in a situation where there is a guy that you like, and you have hopes of him liking you also, and he says things or does things that make you confused, make you uncomfortable. Don't question it. Set your boundaries. Stand firm. And believe that you are worth fighting for. And you are worth being respected and treated right. And if anyone is not respecting you and not treating you like you deserve to be treated, you have every right to stand up for yourself. And if necessary, fight for yourself. So I thank you for your time today. And if you have questions about some of the things that I started to bring up, like boundaries and your feelings versus someone else's feelings, I encourage you to come back in the next several days and continue to watch this series, because we have a few more commandments in the 10 Commandments of Self-Defense series that will probably answer some of those questions. But you're always welcome to reach out to me. You can find me on my Facebook page, Pepper Spray Patty. You can also email me at pepperspraypatty01@gmail.com. And just so that you know, Patty is spelled P-A-T-T-I. Thank you again for watching. I hope that you enjoyed this. I encourage you to subscribe to this channel so you get notifications of when new videos are being posted. And please, if you did get anything out of this video or any of the other videos that are on my channel, please share so others can get this information, because it is up to all of us to stand up for each other and to have each other's back and support each other and encourage each other, because each and every one of us is worth fighting for, and sometimes we need someone to show us a little love and some safety tips and self-defense for us to believe that also. So have a wonderful day and have a safe day. Love you guys.